How's everybody doing this evening? Quick video here. I'm just going to go ahead and go live, talk a little bit about a question that I received the other night. Let's see if I can pull this comment out of the way a little bit. About the EOS Google partnership. Let me see if I can go to my YouTube channel and pull that comment up, because I wanted to talk a little bit about this, because everybody seems to think that this EOS Google partnership is very centralizing for EOS, and now EOS is now more centralized than ever, because now Google is going to become one of the block producers, possibly become one of the block producers. They got to be voted in, but they could become one of the 21 block producers. So people are feeling like that's very centralized, and I'm going to tell you right now that the way people are looking at this is entirely wrong. But I'm going to read a comment so I get it exactly right what this person was asking. I think it was on this video. Okay, kill the sound. Oh, by the way, I did lose the beard. A few people made a comment about that. The quarantine beard is gone. So, and it's kind of funny because I've never had a beard my whole life. That's the first time I ever grew a beard, ever. I never thought that I was able to grow a beard, mainly because I've never been able to grow much hair on the top of my head, so I didn't figure it would go very well on my chin either. But found out otherwise, so that was kind of a fun experience. But I'm starting another one right now, so this is just kind of a little bit of a reprieve from the beard, because the beard's starting up actually today, because I shaved today and tomorrow I won't, and we'll see how long it takes. Last time it took 6 months for the beard to get where it was at. We'll see how long it takes this time. So anyway, this let's go to the most recent comments, newest first. This is the one I'm talking about. This person right here, he writes Binaham Razoil, however you say your name. No one can ever pronounce anybody else's name, so that's just always the way it is. So it says, "Goodbye to decentralized EOS. I really don't understand your logic. Probably I'm stupid, but this guy explains it very well." And I actually do go to this guy's video, and he does have quite a few subscribers. He has 50K subscribers. So actually for a YouTube video talking about, and I think his main topics are blockchain. So for somebody that's talking blockchain, this market, yeah, he's got cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So anybody talking Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in this market with 50,000 subscribers, I would consider somebody that I'd listen to. But he is of the opinion that this is not a good deal for EOS, because it just makes EOS more centralized. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit right now, and we're going to go into this because I think this is the best thing that could ever happen to EOS, and I think this is what Dan Larimer is probably was hoping for from the very beginning. And I bet if you know Dan, you probably, if you know what he was thinking when this happened, he probably was doing somersaults because he was so excited, because this is exactly what has to take place for EOS to really do something. So I don't know if I'm live or not. If anybody can give me the old thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Let me see if I'm got anybody even watching here. So let's take a look and see what's going on. Usually I catch somebody. I don't ever pre-announce these things, or I don't ever let people know I'm doing it, but got one not watching. So okay, maybe I am live. So let's go back to where I was at. So back to the reason why this is such a bullish thing. And I'll just talk in generalities first, and I'll show you some websites, and go to a Forbes article, and then go to another article that's linked to the Forbes article that really explains it very well. The reason why this is such a good thing for EOS is because the EOS blockchain is running the protocol. This protocol is being run by 21 block producers. Let's see who the block producers are now. And actually, Google becoming a block producer isn't a guaranteed top 21 block producer. They're not even guaranteed that they're going to be anybody that gets rewards, although they say they don't even want rewards. There's another place on the internet where I found that Google's not even doing this for money. They say they're doing this because they want to get involved with helping developers on the blockchain, and they want to help give tools for people. So that's the main reason why they're saying that they're doing this. But let's go to all things EOS. because this will give you, this is what we call a block explorer, and this will give you, let's just go to one of these explorers. Blocks is the one I usually go to. And here we go. Here's the top 21. Right now, EOS Nation up in Canada. They are the number one. They've been the number one for quite some time. I think they have a kind of, I was going to do this, but I've never done this yet. I haven't staked any of my tokens. They're giving back a lot of the rewards. So these rewards that they earn 916 EOS a day. They give a lot of that back to the people that are voting for them. That's why they're doing so well. That's why they have 308 million votes, and they're far and away, well, actually 37, 299. They're all kind of up there. But see, the top 21, last one here, and you see this is a different color. This is a different color than this one. These are the actual block producers running the protocol that are making the blocks that are making up this chain. The rest of these block producers, these are standby block producers, but they're still earning rewards. In fact, the 22nd block producers are earning 529 EOS a day, which is at $3, about $1,500 a day in block producer rewards. So thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. So, that's a substantial amount of money for a lot of people, $1,500 a day. It isn't a substantial amount of money for Google. I mean, Google's not doing this for money. They have no interest in these block producer rewards. So what Google's wanting to do is they're wanting to be one of these top 21, which means they actually run the chain. So every time, and you can just click on the chain. We could go to more, I believe this has been, okay, the live, there we go. Live, okay, we go to the chain right here. Let's go live transactions. So right here, here's the chain running, and this is what Google wants to do. They want to be able to run these blocks and make these blocks that these block producers are making. This one was this block producer. Which block producer was this that made this one? There's the block number, the block time. Here's a little bit of the hashtag that makes this a unique block, that makes it why this is the blockchain, why this is able to be seen by everybody, because it's linked together by these unique numbers, which have to sync up with other previous blocks, and then not have a block that's out of order or a block that comes from another place. They all have to be together, and that's what makes this so unique. And that's why it's such a great tool for anybody to use. But so let's go. Here's the live chain. This is what's going on. This is just some of the data. Let me see if they're still being. Oh yeah, they're still being spammed by EIDOS, that EDS coin that's been spamming that network for quite some time. Looks like they're still spamming the network. So anyway, let's go back to show you the chain running. Let me go back to the blocks.io. Okay, here we go. So let's see who's producing right now. All right, here's producing. So right here, EOS Sol and EOS Fly Mars are producing. So every time you see this producing, they're actually producing a block. So this is what Google has put in for, and this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to become one of the top 21. Currently, for Google to be a top 21 block producer, they're going to have more than 278,770,000 votes. So, and you can vote for 30. So that means 30 or 31. I can't remember. It's been a while since I thought of this kind of this part of the blockchain. But you can vote for 30. So yeah, Google's got to get more than this many votes in order to be into the top 21. Wouldn't it be something if Google becomes a block producer and doesn't actually make the top 21? That would be kind of funny. And I haven't looked at this for a while. We are block producers. I want to just check real quick where we are running at. We are running, there we are, yeah, San Diego, one at 115. And we have 138,050 votes. We're not really doing it. We are focusing entirely on the challenge application. But we have run a node before. We are running a node right now. We have been as high as, I think the highest we got was in the 90s. We have fallen back because this has not been our focus. And the main reason this isn't our focus is because we knew right away that this was probably going to get, if the chain was to do anything, that the players like bigger institutional players would come in and become one of the block producers. That's what Dan envisioned this to be. and that's the way it's going right now. So, obviously, if you're a block producer, and Facebook comes in, Google comes in, a bunch of these big tech companies, are you really going to be able to compete against them for votes? Especially when they have incredible amounts of resources to do this, and especially when the fact that if Google runs the chain becomes so much more legitimate because you're having a mega tech corporation running this chain. So that's what you want. You want the chain to be very stable. You want it to be safe. You want it to be hacked, not be able to be hacked. And of course, when's the last time you had your Gmail hacked? When's the last time YouTube got hacked? It doesn't get hacked because Google has the resources to keep that stuff from happening. So that's why it's such a big deal for Google to be a block producer, because they're going to maintain this chain and keep this chain at the top, as good as it can be run, because you've got the best of the best running it. So it's not decentralized. I mean, it is decentralized. It's not centralized. The reason it's not is because Google is coming in to be one of the top 21 block producers. Google is centralized by themselves, but when they're running the EOS protocol, they become decentralized because they're only one of 21. And I've heard some people talk about how this is bad because of governance. And if Google comes in, they'll be able to take over everything. And one of the problems, one of the issues with EOS has been with governance, and most of the issues with governance has been over the block producers, the collusion of block producers. So somebody comes in, they become a block producer, they're getting rewards, and then they vote their friends with their 29 other votes in as block producers, and they all vote for each other. So they kind of keep those positions locked up. That's been one of the main issues with EOS, is the reward system for the block producers, like we were just looking at. When you get $1,200 a day, or I don't know what is, I think it's almost 1,000 EOS a day for the top block producer spots. You're getting roughly $5,000. At $3, you're getting $3,000 a day. So there's a little bit of money there on the table. So when somebody gets to be a top block producer, they're going to help other people, and then they've been accused of is collusion, because block producers will vote for other block producers, and then they have people that they're working with, and everybody kind of and that's the thing I think Google is not going to be. That's been the governance part of this thing, is the block producers and the collusion. And the other part of the governance issues has been the people aren't participating as individual voters, that the people where you hold your EOS is actually has your right to make decisions. That's been the other problem with the governance. So I actually think that Google coming on, not being worried about the rewards, not being worried about colluding with other people on the chain, is actually a very decentralizing force for the EOS blockchain. Very decentralizing, not centralizing, decentralizing. In fact, I've been reading some of these articles. Let me go here. Just go to one that. In fact, I was going to bring this up. It's at the Forbes. If you just go to EOS Google partnership, and even this person, and she writes a pretty good article, Tatiana Kaufman. She says, got to get rid of all this stuff, but she says, even in her article, EOS blockchain created by Block One utilizes a unique semi-decentralized feature. So even she's calling it a semi-decentralizing feature, a network of 21 block producers. So she's even saying it's not totally decentralized, it's only semi-decentralized because of the 21 block producers. But I think Google coming in is going to make it more decentralized, because like I say, I believe it's going to do away with the governance issues. There's not going to be collusion issues. There's not going to be block producers voting for block producers. There's not going to be Google coming in and trying, to game the system to get as many rewards as they want. In fact, I think I read that Google's not even going to take the rewards, or maybe not even interested in them. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find that. I should have looked this all up before I... okay, right here. Take a look at this. This says right here, Google Cloud is not getting into EOS for the tokens. Obviously so. I mean, Google is one of the largest corporations or largest businesses in the world. They're not interested in a $5,000 a day EOS token. Google Cloud is not getting into crypto mining. This is really an infrastructure play for us, Google Cloud developer advocate Alan Day told CoinDesk via a spokesperson. On Tuesday, Block One, the company that made the EOS.io software that runs the EOS.io chain, announced Google Cloud has begun preparations to list itself as a candidate to serve as a block producer, one of the top 21 nodes chosen by the EOS community to serve effectively the same role as miners on Bitcoin or Ethereum. EOS, however, allows for much faster transactions in either of the largest chains, but has been dogged by governance issues. So someone has written me a comment. It says, so what's in it for Google? Why are they joining as BPs? That's the great question. And that's the $64,000 question, I guess. Why is Google getting involved with this? Well, if you read the rest of this article, and I don't know if I want to read the whole thing or not, right here, it says, as for Google, they said, we're broadly interested in open source protocols, which is interesting because obviously Google is I don't believe Google is open source. Are they open source? They have open source software? Maybe they do. I don't know. And distributed ledger technology, which is why we're joining the EOS community, adding, there isn't a revenue model, so they're not interested in money. They're not interested in getting their buddies out as block producers. They're not interested in collusion. They're not interested in gobbling up all the rewards. They're not interested in it. They're not interested in the revenue model. So there's no financial incentive for them to do this. There isn't a revenue model for Google Cloud in connection with the participation in open source protocols. Of course, various protocols provide rewards to incentivize node operators to secure networks services. So that's the intention of the rewards, is to give the rewards to the block producers so they run a chain, have the resources to run a chain that runs effectively. They're not missing out on blocks. They're running software that isn't going to, not software, they're running servers that are not going to be hacked. They're maintaining security. And they're also, in the beginning, we're building tools for people to develop. Well, this is what Google wants to do. Google wants to help the developers develop on the blockchain because they're starting to see the blockchain as the internet future. And I'm going to show you some more articles here in just a little bit that explains that a little bit better than this one does. But let's read on a little bit more here. Day explains that as more companies show interest in participating in this kind of technology, Google Cloud believes it can learn how to better support customers who wish to run validation nodes on projects such as EOS. So they want to learn about this. And they feel the best way for them to learn about this is to become involved. And the best way to become involved is to actually run the chain. So they are picking EOS to become a validator to run the chain. We also are providing cloud infrastructure to Block One, helping them to host their own development efforts. So that obviously provides revenue to us. Okay, so again, so they're feeling that it's as people are developing. And see, we run an application on the EOS blockchain, the Challenge application. We run that on Amazon Cloud Services. So we're not running that on Google, we're running that on Amazon. But I suppose in the future, if there's a lot of tools for us so that we can go pull code from libraries that Google has about blockchain, we will probably maybe switch over to Google if Google becomes more user-friendly for the EOS blockchain. Right now we're using Amazon, but I could see in the future if it starts to take off, Google could actually see more people climb aboard and use their cloud services for running their applications, as we are with Amazon Web Services. Not everything is on the blockchain. I mean, we have to run the front end of the application, the user experience, user interface, the front end of the application runs on the cloud services. Then the smart contracts are running on a blockchain. So we code the smart contracts, of course, on EOS.io, Block One software. It's in C++, and then the front end of the application. We just use, front-end software. We're using, I think we do it all in Python, the front end of the software. I can't remember what we do. But anyway, we're just using basically a DApp application on the front end, and then the back end is a smart contract. So I got a couple other people. What I could imagine that they want to learn and offer private EOS IO chains to their customers later. That's exactly right. M1 NDServe 3R. That's a good idea. That's exactly what they're doing. This is an open source software where anybody can take it and run a chain. And we're seeing that with some of the other chains being run. Wix is running the EOS software. There's a few others too. So yeah, Google is expanding the footprint of the blockchain by being able to get other people to run a chain. And maybe if you run a different chain, the main chain, of course, being the Block 1 EOS software. But if you run your own chain or run a separate chain, you can run it differently than this. You can make it completely so it's only being accessed by a few people. And they all tie in together. So maybe, like with us, we run our application on the Amazon cloud, but we also run the smart contracts on the EOS software. So yeah, you got multiple places where the chain is running, and Google becomes a cloud storage for people. And plus they give people support and give them, like I say, abilities to pull code, abilities to write easy applications or build easy applications. Yeah, they're investing in this by becoming a participant. Okay, Dan, spoiler. If I was Google, I would want to make a wallet to shuffle eyeballs into the financial tool. And that's exactly right. The main reason to be in crypto, the main reason to be in blockchain, is because blockchain gives a self-funding tool with cryptocurrency. So when you code something, you can actually code into that application its own financing tool, its own money, which is what we do with the Challenge application. Of course, we run the Challenge application. It's an application that you download onto your smartphone. In Google Play or the App Store, iOS. And then we also have a cryptocurrency that runs along concurrently with that. And you can exchange value back and forth with our cryptocurrency. And of course, the cryptocurrency trades currently on Nudex. And hopefully as the market picks up, we can get a few other exchanges. We've been on other exchanges in the past, and we have been on some, and then we've been on others, and they just kind of switch around. But you want as many exchanges as possible running that cryptocurrency, because that gives you an ability to exchange value back and forth for your application. And that's the real value behind cryptocurrency. So let's read on here. I don't know where I quote reading, but yeah, here we are. We're also providing cloud infrastructure to Block 1, helping them host their own developers' efforts, so obviously provides revenue as well. The Mountain View Tech giant did not specifically say whether it would attain network tokens to stake to support its own candidacy. So in other words, they're going to have to get people to vote for them. This is just not an automatic that Google becomes one of the top 21 block producers. They're going to have to get people to spoke them. So they're saying, well, maybe we're going to take our tokens and stake them for our own block producer efforts to force people to. But I can't imagine in my wildest dreams that Google wouldn't be voted in as one of the top 21 block producers. And I'm sure Block 1 will be voting for Google as block producer. He'll be voting for Google as one of their block producers. So, yeah. So, here we go. As of this writing, the least supported block producer has more than 273 million EOS in their favor, or roughly 728 million worth of assets, according to EOS Network Monitor. So it takes a bunch of EOS in order to become a block producer. But the issue, and this has always been the issue with this many EOS it takes to be block producers, is most people do not hold their private key. Most people aren't staking their EOS to even vote. Most of this is being held up by exchanges. So that's why you see exchanges as being the block producers. And that's getting to be a little bit of a problem, because when you have only exchanges that hold everybody's vote, voting for themselves to be block producers, they're able to game the system. And then they're able to exchange votes with other people and get other exchanges involved. And they're not really that interested in running the chain. And they're not really that interested in building tools for the community, because they're more interested in getting the rewards, because they've got everybody's. They're holding everybody's vote for themselves, and they're getting an extra $5,000 a day. I mean, some of these exchanges, I don't think $5,000 is that big a deal, but to a lot of them it is. I know probably for Nudex it is. I think Nudex is a block producer, and I think a few of these others, Yobi and all these others, are probably running the the nodes, the block producer nodes, the top 21, to get some exchange money or to get some rewards money. And like I said, the top one right now is getting almost $5,000 a day. So, Dan, you got another question. Bitcoin always flows to the exchanges with the highest demand for Bitcoin. An exchange with eyeballs is everything. Yes, that's true. That's been the mining pools, and the exchanges. It's like me. I have some EOS. I have a lot of EOS that I have the private key from. I have some EOS that I don't have the private key on. Then I keep it on exchanges because I like to move it around. We're developers, and we have to pay people. We usually pay people in EOS. When I pay people in EOS, it's just quicker for me to go to the exchange and transfer from my wallet to their wallet. And so I like, I'm not going to talk about which wallets I like to use, but some of the wallets I like to use are, I'm not getting my vote out of those wallets, that's for sure. I'm just holding on an exchange, and then I'm moving the EOS back and forth between myself and whoever it is that's doing some work for us. So. And we pay a lot of people. We pay a lot of people to do artwork. We pay a lot of people to do design work. We pay a lot of people to do, a lot of things. We do a lot of, if you go to our Telegram, we do a lot of social media stuff on it. We pay all these people in EOS. So that's how we and then we make challenges in EOS too. So the exchanges hold the EOS, and right now the exchanges hold the blockchain. Because they hold the EOS, they're pretty much in control, and that's what people are complaining about. That's the centralization. That's the reason why people are saying, "Oh, this is a centralized blockchain," because the exchanges control it because they're holding everybody's EOS. Because nobody stakes their own EOS and nobody holds their own private keys. It's just easier to hold it on an exchange. So let's go back to this other article, though, the Forbes article. This one right here, because. She does a pretty good job about talking about this, but I want to go down on this link a little bit further. I'm going to read a little bit from this article because this is where I think this is going. And I'm going to read quite a bit of this. And I'm not a great reader, but and I don't read very well. I read in my mind, not through my mouth. I miss words all the time because when I'm reading, I'm scanning, and I'm not reading for every word. So when I read out loud and I read for every word, sometimes gets a little bit confusing. So anyway, this is why I think Google's getting involved. And this is why I think this is so good for EOS. And this is where I think the whole internet and the whole thing is going. And let me go to my EOS. I actually made a video quite some time ago about this. Somebody reminded me, and I even forgot I even made the video. But if you look at my videos, my third best video is I made a video saying EOS may be bigger than Google, and here's why. And I made that 2 years ago. So I made that video 2 years ago about Google and EOS. So it's very interesting if you want to go back and watch it. I went back and watched it, and it's kind of, somebody reminded me, I kind of forgot about it, even though it was one of my better videos. But I went back and watched it, and I did make some interesting connections there. But anyway, I'm going to read some of this so we can talk about this, because I think this really says a lot. And I think she's pretty good, although I disagree with her on quite a few things. She writes for Forbes. She's a Forbes writer. She writes about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I believe she's a lawyer, and she's got a master's in business. And she writes about the economy, too. And I followed her on Twitter and read some of her tweets, and I think she's got the right idea. But anyway, let's read this. U.S.-China relations continues to be strained as trade negotiations are called off for Phase 1 trade deal, while President Trump continues to push against TikTok, WeChat, and other Chinese technologies prevalent among U.S. users. Trump, tough on China platform for the upcoming presidential election is gathering increasing support, but in this technology war, is in the best interest of the West. Is it in the best interest of the West? Okay, that's a very good point. She's making an excellent point that when you start doing this trade war with people, they're going to find other ways to connect with other markets. And that's where the blockchain comes in. And that's what we're going to read about here as this article goes on. Let's get rid of some of these ads. While much of the trade war is playing out publicly, China has been working on a move to knock out American influence on a global stage and once and for all. So in other words, what she's basically saying, take the dollar out of the world reserve as world reserve currency. Knock them out. Knock the U.S. out of the global influence they have over so many of the markets. So in other words, if Trump decides he wants to have a trade war with China, or wants to basically punish a country, he's using the U.S. market as a weapon. He's weaponizing the dollar, weaponizing trade. He's saying, hey, if you don't want to play our game, you don't want to do it our way, you don't want to renegotiate some of these trade deals, we're just going to go ahead and quit trading with you. And China's saying, hey, we're going to find other ways to trade with people, and we're going to use the blockchain to do that. And that's one of the things that somebody like, I think, the current people in the White House have to be concerned about. That you can throw your weight around, but creative people will come up with creative solutions. And this is what's coming up, and this is what's happening in China right now. So here we go. Building on the momentum of the DCEP, more publicly known as the digital yuan, a new currency posed to take over trade and remittance in emerging market. China has also been developing a new type of interconnectivity, the Blockchain Services Network, BSN. The BSN is China's national initiative to integrate adoption of blockchain technology across government, big business, and emerging markets. So China wants to use the blockchain to innovate and to cross government, business, and emerging markets. So they want to bring everything together on the blockchain. The BSN, which is the Blockchain Service Network, will be the backbone infrastructure of interconnectivity. I love that word, interconnectivity. That's a great word, because that's what we're looking for. That's what the blockchain is interconnectivity. That's why we want to see multiple chains running the SIO software, and they're all connected together. That is the real key to this thing. Through mainland China, city government, private business, and individuals in both China and abroad, this network will form a new digital Silk Road to create a link to China and its trading partners globally. So what they're saying is they're going to say, we don't need you, United States. If you want to create a trade war with us, we're just going to create other partners, and we're going to do it digitally, globally, and we're going to do it on this open platform called the blockchain. So it's transparent. So we're not siloed with everybody just being in their own little world, because everybody's siloed with their own servers and their own information that can't be shared with each other. We're going to put it on this BSN network, blockchain, and we're going to share it with the world. And we're going to share it with the private business, city government, and other countries. Think of the BSN as a new internet. Okay, this is exactly, if you go back and you watch that video I just showed you that I made 2 years ago, that's what I was talking about, was a new internet. The blockchain will be the new internet. And she's covering this. This is why I think she's right on point here. A more efficient way to share data, value, and digital assets in a completely transparent, secure way. Absolutely, that's the problem right now. I mean, Google is Google. Google contains their own information, and you can't access it. I mean, another interesting thing about it, and I just thought about this while I was talking, is that Google is coming on running the EOS protocol. And Google is going to do it the way Dan designed it and the way Block One designed it, and they're going to use, the rules of the smart contracts and the parameters of which the SIO software runs, which means Google can't come on and centralize stuff and censor stuff. Now, we all know, if you're a YouTuber and you've been around for a while, you've seen times where Google gets really heavy-handed with the censoring, and they knock a lot of people out of their YouTube channels because they don't like the content. Well, now if they're running the SIO software, they're not going to have control over that. They're going to be running a node, and Google doesn't have any censoring ability with that node. They would have to get the other block producers to go along with that, and they would also be subject to the votes of the people that hold the SIO token. So Google can't come in and just start pushing people around. They have to work within the SIO software and protocol. And that's why I say this is actually a decentralizing effect, not a centralizing effect. Google is running the EOS software. Google isn't coming in as the big 500-pound gorilla in the room, and they're just going to shove everybody out of the way and take the EOSIO blockchain over. That's what everybody's saying on these different YouTube channels. Everybody's basically saying Google's going to come in and they're going to wreck EOS. They're going to come in and they're just going to take over because now they're block producers and they're going to control the whole works. And all we can do is sit back and watch it go down the drain and become Google. They're not doing that. Google's coming in as a participant. They're coming in as a player. They're not coming in as a referee or owner. They're coming in as an actual player. They're going to just be one of the 21 running a node. And I think they're going to be very transparent. I don't think they're going to say, oh, we'll be one of the 21 and then we're going to have our alphabet portion of our company be another block producer and we'll have somebody else be another block producer. No, they'll probably be very transparent. It'll just be Google. They probably won't try to game it with other divisions or other parts of the company running a blockchain as well. I think Google's doing this because they see it as a future. And the payoff for Google will be the tools that they build, which is what we need. That's the problem with this IO software, EOS IO software. There's nobody out there helping developers on this chain. And that's what the original idea was for the block producers be, is to develop tools. And there were a few block producers that were doing that. But then they get wiped out by the exchanges. And the exchanges aren't developing tools, they're just gaming rewards. So now if Google comes back in, Google is going to start building tools because Google wants you to build an application on the blockchain. And they also want you to run it on their cloud services. And they want to give you tools to do that. That's where they're seeing the end game. That's what they're seeing. So this is a really bullish thing for EOS, even though the price still sucks and has sucked forever. And I don't know if it's ever not going to suck, to tell you the truth. $2.65. It's partnering with Google. Google's coming in and says, hey, we are going to be players on your team. We're not going to take over your team. We're going to be players on your team. The biggest tech company in the world comes in and says, we want to be players on your team. And what do we get? We get barely a bump on the price, which tells me nobody's getting this. They don't understand this. They don't care about it. They haven't looked at it. And they're not seeing the future. They do not see the future, which is very unfortunate because I guarantee you that in a year or two, unless some other super event comes up like COVID or something like that, you're going to see better prices than $2.65. If they don't, then there's got to be a serious problem. Of course, my opinion only. That's what I say. But this is definitely a price that's got some upside potential. Let's put it that way. There's a price. There's a very high possibility that this price is going to go very much higher. I totally cannot see it otherwise. And of course, we still got Bitcoin up here pretty good, 11,366. But anyway, let's go back to this article because I think she's making some good points. So think of the BSN as the new internet, a more effective, a more efficient way to share data, value, and digital assets in a completely transparent and secure way. If a frequent comparison has been made between BSN and the new internet. The internet we know today was first operated in local hubs with clusters of private networks. Over time, these clusters got interconnected through a set of protocols of which make up the current World Wide Web. The infrastructure, however, was never designed to transfer value, data in a trustless environment. There you go. Right here is why I made that video 2 years ago and why this is the new internet. The new internet is going to be the blockchain, and the new internet is going to be EOS. Because the infrastructure today is not able to transfer data in a trustless environment. So there's no way to have people share information, be completely transparent with the way things are done today on the internet. You know, like I say, it's called siloed. You know, everybody's content, everybody's information is siloed in their own organization and not being able to be shared with each other. This is going to move the internet in it's going to be light years in advance to where it is today. Light years with the blockchain, especially with people like Google running it. It's going to be this is going to be the new internet. The BSN is specifically designed with digital assets in mind, says Andrea Castellano, emerging markets blockchain strategist. Today, the internet is universal, akin to a public utility. Interconnected blockchain network offers a similar promise for not just the transfer of information, but of digital goods, services, and data. So this new blockchain we're going to be able to have that word that I talked about earlier was interconnectivity. People will be able to share. China has publicly positioned itself as a leader in blockchain development with 45% of all blockchain projects coming from China. In particular, China companies have recognized early on the power of blockchain-based enterprise applications as they allow for a large-scale, authentic data tracking. Sources close to the project maintain that this project is not about tracking the data for specifically individuals and that all data will be encrypted. So, hey, how you doing? Floyd Edwards. Thank you. Appreciate you chiming in. So, the BSN, what are those words? I always hate when people use abbreviations. The Blockchain Services Network, here's some bullet points, is founded by a consortium of several partners, the main four of which: State Information Centers, China's top-level government policies and strategy think tank affiliated with national development and reform commissions; China Mobile, China's largest national telecom with over 900 million subscribers; and China UnionPay, the world top payment and settlement provider with 8 billion issued credit cards; and of course the Red Data Technology, the main blockchain architecture for the BSN. So this is where China's going. While the United States continues to play the old colonial imperialistic game of we're just going to not do business with you because we don't like you and we're going to take our trade and take it someplace else. China is developing a strategy, a digital strategy for the future. And that's why I believe that the current administration's got to go. They're not figuring this stuff out. The BSN presents itself as an interoperability protocol between public, private, and government blockchains. Interoperability. Always a word I can't say. Okay, so it's going to be between public and private and government, and the databases are all going to be shared. The network structure makes a particular emphasis on city hubs and smart city innovations and initiatives. Public city nodes, it's only like 3 a.m. here, so if I'm misreading things, it's not because it's because I don't pronounce these words verbally. I pronounce them mentally, and then when it comes out verbally, it doesn't sound right. Public city nodes are virtual centers installed in different cities and operated by local partners as part of the central government's top-down plan to connect all major cities within China and internationally. The goal is to roll out over 200 city nodes across China over the next year and dozens more internationally. BSN is not a blockchain in itself. Rather, it opens a new world of possibilities to small and medium enterprises who want to develop blockchain capabilities. BSN democratizes access to blockchain capabilities, which are the only available to the largest and wealthiest companies such as WeChat, Alibaba, and so on and so forth. What does this BSN network mean for American businesses? Since the launch of the BSN just a few months ago, the interoperability network has already become one of the largest and fastest growing enterprise blockchain ecosystems in the world, notably allowing connections to public chains worldwide, even though they are currently not technically supported in China. China's enthusiastic development of BSN throughout the mainland also represents a watershed moment for the global adoption of blockchain, as the BSN will drastically lower the cost associated with deploying a blockchain services across different ecosystems. This specifically includes a pathway for international decentralized services to be accessed in China, vice versa, thus catalyzing a true global interconnected world, says Michael Sung, professor of Shanghai Fundong University. Although given current geopolitical tensions, American businesses and governments are unlikely to participate in the BSN. This new network will unite producers globally, potentially, and this here is what the final few words here is what this article is all about, potentially leaving American businesses out in the cold without access to China and emerging market consumers. There we go. So this is what's going on in the world today. And this is what I think Google sees. And this is why Google's working with EOS right now to develop this interconnectivity between business, government, and and small business, intermediate businesses, government, and countries. They want to build this interconnectivity. And the only way to do this is on a blockchain, because we can share information publicly on the blockchain, encrypted on a blockchain, and everybody can have access to it. And it can be running decentralized. So I think this is what's going on. And this is why I think this is so bullish for EOS to be chosen by Google to be the block producer that they want to be. They want to invest their time, their efforts, and their resources into. So this is a long video, and I want to make sure I make the point and I drive it home hard. This is not a negative for EOS that Google wants to work with them. This is about as positive as it gets. In fact, when I heard that news, I was getting a little bit depressed about things, wondering if this was ever going to take off. Honestly, and you could go back and watch some of my videos, even though I'm always upbeat and positive about EOS, because we've invested so much money in it and time in it, and we really believe in it. And I always feel like at the end of the day, there's only one solution. It's a blockchain that scales, and right now, pretty much that's it. If you don't scale, then you can't run a ton of transactions. I think Google will come in. I think they will help build this, make it a better blockchain, make it work more effectively and efficiently, make it more secure, make it more reliable, make it more interconnected. I think they'll throw their brain power at it, too. They have incredible resources that will work with Block One, to help to develop something what China's developing. This worldwide blockchain that they're going to use as a trading platform to not have to deal with people like this guy right here. The guy that's running for president, and he doesn't get it. He doesn't like Bitcoin. He doesn't like the blockchain. He doesn't like cryptocurrencies, and he doesn't understand this. But China's been ahead of him the whole time. All he can do is complain about past trade deals and cut off the American markets to, American products, mainly American soybeans, keep it from being sold in China, which has depressed the farmers' prices, commodities, pork, beef, all these farm commodities. The farming communities have supported Trump, and then he turns around and throws these trade deals at him, and doesn't catch on to what they're going to do, which is build this blockchain and connect up with other markets, and everybody's going to be on the same page, and America's not going to be part of that. So this is a real problem for the United States economy. And unless they get this thing figured out and fixed, you can see how China's going to eat their lunch here pretty quick. So I was going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, because let me go back and talk a little bit about Bitcoin for a second here, because Bitcoin is on the rise. A lot of people are really bullish on Bitcoin right now, but everybody's been excited to see this jump. And you can kind of see where it's going. Let me see here, go back here about 30 days. It's taken a stair step up, big stair step here, big stair step here. It's taken some big stair steps up, and we're trading pretty flat right now. Now, if this thing runs to 20,000 or not, I don't know. But it's got a little bit of momentum going, and we hope it keeps going, because this is a big deal for cryptocurrencies to get Bitcoin back up to where it was. The beard is gone. It shaved it off today. It was like 90 degrees here, and I said, hey, I'm tired of this beard, man. This thing's hot. So I was going to trim it, and it's like Sunday, and everybody's so weirded out with trimming without a mask. I went into, one time I had the beard, and I go into just right after the pandemic, and I went to go to a barber and get a nice trim on my beard. They want me to wear a mask. I said, well, how do you wear a mask and get your beard trimmed? Well, we'll work around the mask. And so they did, and I don't think it turned out very well. So, the beard's getting pretty full and heavy and thick, and I'm going, wow, things getting really, I got to get it trimmed up. And in here, and I don't know where how everything else is going on, but right now, barber shops are a little bit weird, and I just don't want to go down and deal with a barber shop and wear a mask while they're trimming my beard. So I just decided to shave it off. Figured that's going to grow back anyway, so I just start over again. So the beard is gone. But like I said, I'd never had a beard in my life. It's the first time I ever grew a beard. I actually didn't think I could grow a beard because, like I said earlier in this live stream, I'm not very good at growing hair on top of my head, and I never have been. Even when I was a young man, I didn't grow very good hair on top of my head. I was one of those premature balding guys, My hair started thinning out pretty early in life. So I just assumed, since I had, fine hair, I'm not Italian in descent with a nice head of hair. I'm more of an Irish, Scottish, German background, which means that I had light hair. My hair was really blonde, and then a red beard and red. So I never had really, that nice thick head of dark hair that really grew really well. So I just assumed that since I couldn't grow hair on my head, I couldn't grow hair on my face. But I was surprised. I actually grew a really nice beard. It was a very thick, heavy beard, and it turned out pretty well. So in a few months you'll see it again. So enough about the beard. But I am getting into beards. It's been pretty funny because since I've been able to grow a beard, I've been looking at beard brand, ordering products for beards, and doing research on beards. And it's really funny how you can just something like that can make a turn in your life. Never thought about a beard in my life. Shaved every morning in my life. Never even thought about it twice. And all of a sudden I grow a beard and I'm buying stuff off of the internet for beards. Exotic products like, beard oils and, conditioners and all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's an e-commerce thing. I mean, if you find something like that you're really into, you can create yourself a little niche like these beard brand guys have done. And of course, with people now, a lot of people, it's been kind of like a rebellious thing to do, I think, with this COVID is, if I have to stay home, and businesses are closing and everything's, being quarantined, I'm going to grow a beard, and I'm going to be anti-establishment, grow a beard, because I think beards have always kind of been associated with anti-establishment. So everybody's going to say, I'm going to rebel against COVID. I'm going to rebel against being quarantined. I'm going to grow a beard. So I think the beard brand guys are doing pretty well right now. So got way off track there because of but the beard will be back. But I want to talk about Bitcoin. So I've been reading a lot of articles about the inflationary thing. And people right now believe that the inflation isn't going to be as bad as I think it's going to be. And the reason they don't think it's going to be as bad is because something called the Phillips curve. And I didn't even know what the Phillips curve is. But what the Phillips curve says is when you have low unemployment, you have higher inflation. But if you have high unemployment, you have lower inflation. So what they're saying is because we have so much unemployment right now, Powell, I've seen him. So is the other guy, Dorsey. He bought a bunch of Bitcoin today too, or the other day, I guess. So yeah, Bitcoin's taken off. Thanks, Dan. So they're saying because we have a lot of people out of work right now that we can't have inflation, because the only way you get inflation is as people go to work and the job market continues to compete for people's to get people to work for them. So in other words, if the job market starts to become tighter, less people available for work, I have to pay more for my employees, and then I've got to, as people go back to work, that creates more need for all the products that are used at work and all the things that people need to in order for businesses to maintain and go forward. So that creates competition, and the competition creates inflation. So the only way we get inflation back is if we get employment back, and we haven't got employment back. So they're banking on that to say inflation is going to stay low. So as long as employment stays high, unemployment stays high, inflation will stay low. And that's the kind of nonsense that this federal government is working on. That's nonsense. I mean, I can tell you really easy how inflation works. When you create something create too many of them, they can become less valuable. And that's the simple way of looking at it. That's the logical way of looking at it. Thinking that this inflation we can print trillions of dollars worth of stimulus, but because we don't have anybody working today, we're not going to have any inflation. That's stupid. I mean, you can't print money, and just because we have a high unemployment rate, not have inflation. You're going to have inflation if you're printing money. That's just the way it works. So that's the kind of nonsense that the Federal Reserve is working off of right now. Got another here. We have huge amounts of fresh printed money hitting a market with not enough products. Yes, that's what they're talking about. Well, that's inflation, in my opinion. That would be inflation. What the Fed is saying, because people aren't working, that it's not going to drive the prices up of things. Things aren't going to go up because as people aren't working, businesses aren't, they're not utilizing resources and needing resources, and they're not. They're not demanding paying more for people's work time, price or wages. So anyway, that's called the Phillips curve. I think it's total nonsense. I think we're going to have some huge inflation. The other thing that's going on is this idea that there's a 14% unemployment rate right now. It's ridiculous. That's a totally ridiculous figure. I would say, and I have to look this up. There was a guy on the YouTube. In fact, let me look this guy up. I don't know if he started making videos again or not, but he was actually very, very good. I loved his videos, and he really covered the Fed well. And he went into some of the weird things that the Fed does. Fed Observer. The way they do the consumer price index. They'll say inflation is at 3 or 4% based on a basket of things that the Fed monitors. And kind of what they say is if people buy less, that means we have less inflation. So if the price of beef goes to $10 a pound and people cut back the usage of beef because it's so expensive, we really don't have inflation because nobody's buying it. That's the kind of silliness the Fed does to juggle these numbers. So this guy right here was making videos, and he actually looked at 21,000 subscribers, and I don't think he had that many videos up either. But he no longer has a channel. This channel, no, maybe he's subject to Google's censorship. I don't know. Wow, that's crazy. This guy's not. The videos are all gone. Man, that is crazy because this guy made some really good videos about the Feds, and I don't know if they demonetized him or took him down or not. But anyway, he was talking about some of this stuff, and he was talking about how they juggle the numbers, and I think they juggle the numbers on unemployment. And I was going to look this up today, and I forgot to do it. But I think unemployment numbers are only based on people that are pulling unemployment, or that are people that have just recently been unemployed. If you're not pulling unemployment checks, and you've been off the grid for a while, so in other words, your unemployment, you're not getting it anymore. You've been out of a job. You can't find a job. You're just doing side gigs, or maybe you're just hustling a little money on the side. Somebody's helping you out, parents, family helping you out. You're not showing up in those unemployment figures, and I think that's about 25 to 30% of people that just don't show up in those unemployment figures. So whatever the federal government tells you is unemployment, like right now they're saying I think it's 12.5, add 30 to it. So actually, the true unemployment right now I think is about 35%. Or actually 45%. It'll be 30 plus 15, or 12, 32%. Or 20 if you use 20, 30 if you use 30, add another 12 to it, 42. So that's the true unemployment rate. The unemployment rate right now could be as high as 42%. And I think it's probably between 30 and 40%. If you looked at true numbers and exactly how many people aren't working that should be working or need to work but just can't find a job, that just have completely fell out of the system. They're not eligible for unemployment anymore. They haven't worked for a number of years, and they're just doing some under-the-table thing, making some money under the table, or they're just doing some stuff on their own and just kind of staying out of the books, off the books, not probably paying taxes. But that's what's really going on. So this stimulus money, and it looks like they are going to get this 2 or 3 or 4 trillion, whatever it's going to be, trillions and trillions of dollars of stimulus, hopefully will drive up Bitcoin, especially when you see guys like Jack Dorsey getting involved with it, and you get a lot of people. But you never know. But you can't print trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and say, it doesn't count because we got a lot of people unemployed, and because we have a lot of people unemployed, that's going to keep inflation from going higher because activity is being severely hampered or severely regressed, and we can print all the money we want because all the stuff isn't working right now. So anyway, any more questions? Because I'm ready to sign off. Hopefully I made a good point to the fact Google coming aboard is a good thing for EOS. I know Dan Lermer's excited about it. I've watched enough of his videos to know when he gets excited about stuff. He's not a real excitable kind of person, but I can tell that this is a big thing for him just by his actions and demeanors and the way he talked about it. He actually had I don't want to pull her channel up. He went on some person's channel. And then you have to pay to watch the rest of the channel, or rest of the interview. But anyway, you can watch it if you want. And then there was the early Ivan on Tech, where he did say that he believed that the block producers of the future, before the chain even launched, would be institutions. Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate it, man. So he did say he thought like college institutions, universities and stuff like that, they would be the ones running the nodes. But I'm sure when he made that Ivan on Tech video a year or two ago, if he would have known within a year, under 2 years later, Google would be running a node, I think he'd be pretty excited. And I think it's probably something that he's feeling pretty good about. And as anybody that's involved with this blockchain should be feeling pretty good. And just before we go, let me just show you our website. If you want to download Challenge.io, here it is. Here's the website. We're in the App Store. We're in the Google Play Store. This is a little video of my son, myself, and Dan Larimer up at the hackathon in San Francisco. We got to show him this challenge application. He was real excited. He liked it. He wanted to know how he could help us out. Actually spent a little bit of time. You can play through the video. I talked to him for a little bit before the video was even started too, because I wanted to make sure he was okay with me videoing him. And he was. I think it's his wife is standing right behind him. This woman right here that you can barely see, it's got the Under Armour thing. That's Dan's wife. And she was pretty funny too, because she was listening to everything we had to say too. Here is a map where challenges are being made. I don't know if we're doing that or we got that going right now or not. But yeah, if you want to download the application, we're running on the EOS blockchain. And we're pretty familiar with how things work on that. And we work on it every day. And we're trying to make it better and better and better, just like everybody else is, and try to make this blockchain something that is future internet, future world internet, as you're seeing China's building right now. So if I don't have any other questions, I'm going to end the stream, and hopefully it turned out well. I never know until they're finished. But I just came on here spontaneously because I've seen everybody coming out saying that this is centralizing EOS, and it's bad for the chain, and, you know, there goes the EOS down the drains. I mean, I kind of pulled the videos up. I didn't find one person that thought this was a good thing, except Felix. Felix thought it was good. So my good buddy Felix, he's got a video. Somebody sent me, actually, if you go through my last comments, you'll see Felix's video. He makes EOS videos too. And actually he brought out some better stuff than I had. He brought out Peter Thiel involved with EOS very early, and a lot of the original investors in Facebook involved with EOS. So yeah, there's been some good stuff there too. So anyway, I'm going to end the stream. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully it posts right away, so there'll be, if you want to go back and watch some parts of it that you missed, or you come in late, it'll be available. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Good night.